It's your open source advocate, and I'm back with another video, and today I want to talk about VLANs in your pfSense and OPNSense boxes. Now this is a part of our Building a Business series, so I'm excited to go through this with you. And last time we went through installing pfSense or OPNSense on your Proxmox server, but you can install it on a hardware device, you can install it on your Proxmox server as a VM, you can do it in a lot of different ways. But no matter what you do, planning ahead is a vital thing when you're trying to build a business, and especially a business that is really run through technology and software. And that's almost any business these days, but really thinking about how am I going to build this out and what am I going to do? So for me, I'm thinking about how would I build an MSP, a managed service provider business. And this is a business where I think I want to be able to support my clients. I want to be able to support their systems. I want to help them run either their servers that's on their premise, or servers that are in the cloud, or servers that I'm hosting for them. It doesn't really matter where they are, but I want to make sure that I'm able to help them run those things. So that's important for me. So what we want to do today is build out some VLANs. And the first thing we're going to do is just learn how to build out VLANs in either pfSense or OPNSense. It'll be a very similar process. Just remember the OPNSense menu is down the left side, the pfSense menu is across the top. But the categorization should be very close to the same. It's not going to be exactly the same, but also the sections where we go to should be very close to the same as well to do it in either one. So just keep that in mind as you're following along. If you need to pause the video to kind of figure out where it is in your system, do that and then jump back into the video. It's fine. This should be a fairly short, fairly straightforward video. Today we're going to build out the VLANs and talk about what that gives us. And then I'll even connect to one of the VLANs with a machine I'm working from so that you can see how that functions and how that gives me internet access. And I'll talk about a couple of different ways that you can do that. I've got this machine and it's got a NIC kind of like this. And basically it's got 4 ports right here. And then I've got a 5th port that's built into the machine. So I've actually got 5 ports instead of 4. But these ports are LAN, and then these 3 aren't in use. So what you can do is you can actually set up these other ports to be a VLAN port if you want to. Now, and technically these are actually just LAN ports, so you can just set them up to be separate LAN ports as well with their own names and their own identifiers, or you can create VLANs out of these other ports as well. It's really kind of up to you how you go, and you can do that. But if you just have a system with a dual NIC, so you only have 2 ports to start with, one's going to be your WAN, that's the connection from the internet to your network. The other one's going to be your LAN. This is the local area network connection that goes out to all of your devices and your routers and things like that. This is something that you can split using VLANs, and you don't need these other ports. You can just split this one out, and then using other hardware, you can say, hey, I want to grab onto that VLAN for this specific reason, or I want to grab onto that VLAN for this specific group of machines and things like that. And you can assign out addresses from those VLANs that way, and you keep those groups segregated intentionally on your network. So if we look at a network like this, where this is really our switch or our router or our pfSense or OPNSense box, and then we have all these machines out here on our network. So we've got all these machines, and just imagine a big office where you have even more stuff, and you have people with their mobile devices and everything else. You've got servers, and you've got laptops for your developers and QAs, and you've got build machines, and then you've got guests who are coming into your office, and they want to have access as well. And then you've got your HR and your payroll and your accounts receivable and accounts payable, and on and on and on, right? This gets to be a really big network. And the thing about IP is that it is very chatty. Everything is broadcast. So this one's broadcasting out everything it's doing, and these are kind of having to hear that and filter it out. Same from this one, same from this one, same from each one of these. So each one of these is broadcasting out, and the rest of them are having to filter all that out to the things that they care about and that are important to them. And that can make your network very congested. So one of the things you can do, rather than running physical separate networks and bridging those together, is you can create VLANs. So what we would do is we would say, you know what? These machines need to be on a network together. And then these machines I want on a network together. And then we've got these machines here that'll be on a network together. And then I want these machines to be on a network together. Oops, I didn't quite highlight that, did I? There we go. Now we've got it. I highlighted it, but I didn't square it. There we go. So we will create 4 VLANs in order to kind of separate the concerns of our network and the things that are going on our network. And we would basically create one that's like local servers, development, guests, and then we could call this admin. And you could even separate out these things if you feel like payroll needs to be separate from these other things, and accounts receivable and payable need to be separate from HR. You could separate these into their own VLANs as well. You can make like 4,094 VLANs on a single NIC. So you've got a lot of capability to make a lot of VLANs if you really need to. And the nice thing about this is that now these guys will still broadcast, but they're the only ones that are going to hear it because it's like they're on a separate network. These guys are still going to broadcast, but they're the only ones that are going to hear it because they're on a separate network. Same thing here. What if we have cameras? We had cameras out here for our building to keep us safe and secure. You could put those off in their own VLAN. And again, you can say this VLAN here can access the internet. This VLAN here can access things on the server, on this other VLAN with other servers if it needs to, but it can't access these other VLANs. And the same way, you can tell them through the rules in the firewall which things they can access and which things they can't. So it's really, really great that you have this capability. So I want to get into that, and we're going to get into how to set up VLANs right after this. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers and all of my patrons over at Patreon. Seriously, you guys make this so worth it for me to do these videos every week. I really, truly enjoy it. And I just can't say thank you enough. If you're enjoying these videos, subscribe. Let YouTube know that I'm doing a good job by subscribing to the channel. Plus, you'll get notified when I have new videos coming out. And finally, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, give it a like. Just click on that thumbs up, and that way YouTube knows that you like it, and they'll pass it along to other people that might enjoy my content as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Let's get started. All right, so we're going to jump into our pfSense firewall here, and you can see that I've got my dashboard kind of configured the way that I want to have it for now. And you can see right now I've just got the LAN and I've got the WAN interfaces. I don't have any other interfaces set up. So I'm going to zoom this up because it's going to make it easier for you guys to see what I'm clicking on for one thing. But we're going to start off, we're going to go to the interfaces and we're going to go to interface assignments. On the assignments tab, you can see here we've got WAN and we've got LAN. And then I've got these other ports. I've got IGB 1, 2, and 3. My LAN is on IGB 0 and my WAN is on BGE 1. It's on that separate port. So I've got these other ports that I could use to create other networks if I want to and actually physically plug in cables to those ports. But I'm instead just going to do this off of IGB 0. And I'm going to show you guys kind of how that works. So we can't do anything here yet. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump over to VLANs. And I'm going to add a VLAN. So I'm going to click on Add. So I want this to be on IGB 0. Now if you want this to be on a different port, click here and select which port you want that to be on, and then you can start setting it up. But I do want this to be on IGB 0. It's on the LAN network because again, if I only had a dual NIC, I want to show you that this can still work just fine. On our VLAN tagging, we're going to give this a tag of 10. Now you can do any kind of numbers you want. It doesn't really matter what numbers you do, but just make it something easy for you to figure out what they are at some point. And we're going to name things in a way that we can do that as well. So we're going to call this local servers just from our drawing. So we're just using that as an example. So local servers, and we're going to call this, and we're just going to save it. We've got that one. Let's add a couple more here. So we're going to add another one. Again, IGB 0 is correct, and we're going to tag this one as 20. So we can't use the same tag, so we're going to use 20 on this one. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to call this admin. So that we'll make that admin section our 20. And we'll hit save. And then we're going to add another one for the developers, and we're going to call that 30. And we'll call that development. That's fine. You can call it dev for short if you want to. That's up to you. We're going to add one more, and we're going to call that 40. And again, we want these all to be on IGB 0 just so we can show what this can do. And then we're going to call this guest. So there's one right there. Guests is fine. Guest is better. I like that. Let's hit save. There. So we've got 4 VLANs. Now, that's great. We've kind of created the VLANs, but really these aren't interfaces yet. They don't do anything. There's nothing to be set up for them. So we've got to go do step 2, which is now set up our interfaces. So we're going to go back to interface and assignments. And you can just jump over to this tab if you want to. When we were here, you can jump back to here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to this bottom one and we're going to pick our VLANs. So we're going to pick VLAN 10. We're going to hit add. Now you'll notice that this gets named opt1. We're going to change that in just a little bit, but for now we're just going to go and we're going to select our next VLAN. So 20. We're going to hit add. And we're just going to continue doing that. 30. Add. And you'll notice I've still got my physical ports here, but that's not the ones I'm picking. I'm picking my VLANs that I created, and I'm going to click Add. So I've got all 4 VLANs set. They're added. Okay? Everything's done there. Now, we need to go enable these interfaces. So what we're going to do, you can do it from here by clicking on this name, or you can go up here and you can go to Interface, and now you can pick these interfaces. They're now in the menu. So either way, you're going to get to the same place. So if you click here, Interfaces, and click on Opt1, you're going to get to the same place. If we go back to the interface assignments, if you click here on Opt1, you're going to get to the same place. Doesn't matter how you get there, but once you get there, you want to enable the interface. We want to rename this because we know this is our local servers VLAN, so we're going to rename that. We're going to pick static IPv4, and then we're going to go down here and we're going to give it a IPv4 address. So we're going to do 10. So my main, you can see I've done this already in practice. My main IP address is 10.100.0. So I'm going to give this the same as the VLAN tag. So 10.100.10.1. And then I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to give this 24. And everything else we're going to leave alone. We're just going to hit save. Then we're going to apply. And it takes just a second to save that, apply, and make those changes and make the interface enabled, basically. And then you can see now that it says that we're successful. So if we go back here, you see now we've got local servers instead of opt1. We want to do the same thing for opt2, 3, and 4. We want to set these up the same way. So we'll enable our opt2 interface. We'll rename it, and this was admin. There we go. And then we're going to go down here to static IPv4 here for the IPv4 configuration type. We're going to jump down and give it an IPv4 address, which is 10.100.20, just like our VLAN tag, .1. And then we're going to jump over here and we're going to pick 24 again. And then we're going to hit save. And now we're going to apply our changes. And once we've applied those changes, we'll go here and we'll see now that we've got admin. So we're going to take out opt3. We're going to do the same thing. And I'll jump through these real quick. So the 24 means that this last octet can go from 1 to 254. So that's how many addresses in this VLAN we can assign. So any address from 10.30.1 to 10.100.30.1 to 10.100.30.254. Now 10.100.30.1 is taken by our VLAN host basically, but that's okay. We're going to hit save. We're going to apply our changes. We're going to do opt4. And this was our guest network, so we're going to enable it. We're going to do guest. We're going to go down and hit save and apply. So we've now gone through the process of setting up, basically adding 4 VLANs to our LAN IGB0. And then we've gone through and we've enabled each interface in the Interfaces tab. The next thing we need to do is set up DHCP because we want DHCP to be able to hand out addresses to devices that come onto our network. Now we can set up static devices and static addresses later, but for now we just want to set up that DHCP range. So we're going to go to Services. We're going to go to DHCP Server. And you can see here across the top we've got a tab for each one of those interfaces. So we've got our LAN, which is our main one. Should already be set up if you followed the last video. But now we've got our local servers. And you see here it's not enabled, and if we click on each one, it's not enabled, but it shows you each one's there. So we're going to go to local servers and enable our DHCP server. We're going to move down and it says allow all clients. That's fine. If you have a reason to block things later, you can. But then we're just going to create the range that we want for DHCP addresses that are going to be handed out. So we did 10.100.0.50 to 10.100.0.100 for the LAN when we did the last video. So we'll do the same thing here. We're just going to replace that third octet with 10, 20, 30, and 40 as we do each one of these interfaces. So we're going to do 10.100.10.50 and 10.100.10.100. And then as we move down, we're going to go right past the DNS servers, but we're going to go here to the gateway, and we're going to actually call this 10.100.10.1. That should be the gateway for this VLAN. We're going to continue down all the way to the bottom. If there's anything there that you need to add, as long as you know what you're doing, go ahead. But as far as I know, there's nothing we need to add right now just to get this initially set up. We're going to click on Save. I put 0. I thought I put 50. There we go. I didn't hit the 5 apparently. Now we've got it. So 10.100.10.50 to 10.100.10.100, and then my gateway is 10.100.10.1. So it just gave me an error when I did that. It was just a typing error. All right, it says save successfully. That's great. So we're going to go and do the same thing for our other interfaces here real quick. So again, enable it, and then 10.100.20.50. Make sure I get that typed in. 10.100.20.100. And then we're going to go down here to the gateway, and we're going to type in 10.100.20.1. And then we're going to move on down, and we're going to click on Save. This is really a rinse and repeat process. As long as it saves successfully, you should be having no problems. All right, so now we've got all 4 interfaces set up and they're ready to hand out addresses. That's awesome. But if we go to our firewall rules, which is the next step, you're going to see that you have WAN firewall rules out of the gate. This thing's ready to go. It's set up in a way to protect your systems and protect your network. Your LAN firewall rules are set up in a way to give you internet access, but not really hurt your system and not lock you out of accessing your interface or pfSense. So it gives you network access to all of your other machines. Everything on the network can be reached. The internet can be reached, but nothing inside your network can be reached from the outside. So it comes set up like that. But if you look here at the tabs for each of our VLANs, there's no rules yet. You can't reach anything. You can't go to anything. You can't do anything. So we need to set up a few rules on each of these interfaces just to get us started. And then you can always squeeze this down later. But in pfSense, the way the rules work, and OpenSense is the same way, is that it reads from the top down. So at the first rule that it finds that matches, it goes, yep, that's the one to hit. So you really kind of have to think about how you layer these rules in order to make things work. So we're going to jump over and just basically set up the local servers, and we'll do each one the same way just to show you how it works. And then I'll connect to one of these VLANs to show you that I do have internet access, that I can get an address and everything like that. And you'll see that everything's functioning the way we expect. On a subsequent video, we'll cover like, okay, now what hardware can I use with this to actually start handing out addresses to all of my devices on my network and things like that. And it's just kind of a step-by-step process, so stick with me on it. I hope that you're following me. I hope that you're understanding what we're doing. I hope it's making sense, but we're going to get there. So we're going to do firewall rules right now. All right, so from the firewall view, we're going to go here and we want to make sure we're on the right interface. So make sure that you're on the right interface before you start adding or messing with rules. But we'll just start here with the local servers and we're just going to click on add. We're going to leave this as pass. Now just follow with me. I know it's going to sound a little bit weird, but we're going to leave that as pass. We're going to go down here to the protocol. We're going to change this to any instead of just TCP. So you can see there's a list of protocols here that you can set up. You can say, I just want to pass ICMP traffic, or I just want to pass, you know, any kind of traffic that's out there that you would want to pass. You can kind of select that individually. But in this case, we're going to say any traffic. So anything that comes in, we want to pass this. And as we go down here to the source, we're going to leave that on any. And destination, we're going to leave on any. And again, I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but follow with me because this is the way that the pfSense rules work. So then we're going to give this a name for local servers internet traffic. We're going to click on save. So right now, just with this rule being added in, if I was to go and set up my machine to connect to this VLAN, I should be able to get to the internet and I should be able to do anything I want. But I'll also be able to reach all of my other devices on my LAN, on this VLAN, on this VLAN, on this VLAN. So I may not want that. So what we want to do is we want to actually add another rule. So we've created the everything can go through rule, which is good. That gives us the traffic back and forth and everything that we want, except now we want to limit that down so that our VLANs aren't talking to other things they shouldn't be. And this is where, again, that planning ahead and thinking about how you want things to function really comes into play. So if I say, okay, for my local servers, I want them to be able to get to the wide area network, but I don't want them to be able to reach my LAN, my machines on my main LAN. I don't want them to reach my development machines. I don't want them to be able to reach the other direction. I just want things maybe to be able to reach into them, but not the other direction. So I'm going to add a new rule, and you see this little up arrow. So remember what I said, that firewall rules work from the top down. So now that we've given it a pass all, we don't want that to be the top rule or everything's just always going to go. We want to add a new rule on top of it, so that's what the up arrow is, which says put a rule on top. So we're going to add, this time we're going to say block. We're going to go down. Again, we're going to say any, not just TCP traffic. We want to make that protocol change to any. And then on the source, we're going to leave it to any. But on the destination, we're going to change this. So we're going to say block any traffic that's trying to go to a certain network. So for that, we're going to go down here to LAN net. We're going to pick it. And then we're going to keep moving down. We're going to give this a name. We're going to say local. Or we're going to say block local servers from LAN access, and then we'll save this. So now we've added a rule, and you see the little X means it's blocked, the little check means it's pass. So this says let everything through, but this rule above it says, well, first, before you let everything through, if anything's trying to go from here over to this LAN, you go ahead and block that traffic. We're not going to allow this VLAN to call over to the LAN and access anything on the LAN. Now we can set up the same exact kind of rule for our admin, for our development, and for our guest. So we don't want our servers reaching out to these other things. We could do the same thing on guests. So let's just do this for guests. So we have guests coming in. We want them to have internet access. That's fine. So we're going to say pass. We're going to make sure it's on guest. We're going to set this to any. That's fine. Again, if it's just internet, you could probably leave it as TCP, but we'll set it to any. And again, any and any on the source and the destination. And then we're going to give this guest internet access and then save. Now we've given our guest everything they need. We hit apply here just so we get an application of all of our rules that we're setting. Let's go back to our local servers. You can see here we've got our rules set. So we go back to guest. Now we're going to add a rule on top of it that says, okay, we don't want our guests to be able to access other stuff on our network. So we're going to say block, and then we're going to say guest again, and we're going to say any. So if they try to do any kind of a approach to anything else, we're going to say source is any again. And then this time we're going to say we don't want them to be able to reach things on our LAN net. We don't want them to be able to reach things on our local servers net. We don't want to be able to reach things on our admin net, and we don't want to be able to reach things on our development net. So we're going to start here with LAN net. We're going to go down and say block guests from LAN. We can just copy this so we don't have to type it every time. We can just change the last word there. And then we're going to go back. We're going to add another one. You don't have to apply until you've added all the rules you want. We're going to say block, again, any. And then we're going to pick the destination. And we're going to pick local servers net. And we'll just paste this in and local servers. And we're going to add another one. So now we've got these rules that say, okay, my guests can do stuff, but if they try to reach the development net, block it. If they try to reach the admin net, block it. If they try to reach local servers, block it. If they try to reach the LAN, block it. If they want to go to the internet, yeah, that's fine. As long as it's not one of these things, we'll let it go. It's not a problem. Now, on your guest network, you also might want to say, you know what, I want them to be able to ping other people's devices on there either. That's kind of creepy. We want to kind of protect everybody's devices if we can. So you could set up rules that also kind of stop them from hitting other devices on the network. But you get the idea. You stack these blocking rules on top of your most loose rule to kind of start blocking things out. So we've set that up. We've kind of done that. We've got our local servers kind of set up and we're blocked from the LAN, but we're not blocked from admin or development. So we could reach those things. So let's just add one where we're going to block them from admin here. And we're going to go and just say block. And we're going to go here to any. And then on the destination, we're going to say from the admin net and block from admin. And we're going to hit save. And now we're going to apply those changes. And we should have all of our changes in place for guest and all of our changes in place for local. Now, if you want to test this, you need a way to connect to your VLAN. So that's a little bit more of an in-depth topic, but I can do this on my Linux machine right here. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to the configuration for my network. And I'm going to jump down here to add. And I'm going to select a VLAN. And I'm going to hit create. And I'm just going to tell it the parent interface is my wired internet connection. And the VLAN I want to connect to is 10. That's my local server's VLAN network. And then the VLAN name, I'm just going to call this local servers. And then the rest of this is good. I'm just going to hit save. So you'll see here that pretty quickly it says connected. It's kind of hard to read, but it says connected right there for my VLAN now. So I've got a VLAN here and it's connected, and I've got my wired connection and it's connected. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to open up my terminal. I'm going to make this a little bit larger for you guys. We'll make it full screen here. So for the ones on the mobile devices, I'm going to do IP-BR-CA show. And you can see here that I've got my regular LAN address. So this is my LAN coming on EN01, and it's 10.100.0.50. That's my LAN. Remember, that's 10.100.0, right? But then I've also got this one down here now where you can see local server at EN01 is up. and it's on 10.100.10.50. That's my local server's network address. So if I go down here and I say, you know what, I'm just going to cut off my Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is off. I'm going to cut off my wired connection, which is my 10.100.0.50. They're off. And now I'm going to do that same command. In fact, I'll just leave it on the screen. We'll just do it again. So look here. Remember I had this address, and then I had this address from my Wi-Fi. Now I don't have those. Those are down. So E&O is up, but it's not giving me an address. My Wi-Fi is down, but you can see I've still got this VLAN address. Now with that VLAN address, I should be able to ping anything that's not on my LAN. So if I do 10.100.0.1, it shouldn't give me anything back. Because remember, I blocked access to that LAN. So I'm going to just stop that one from running. It's not giving me anything. If I do ping google.com, let's see. It did this earlier. It was a little bit slow. There it goes. So where you can see I'm getting pings back. So I'm able to reach the internet. So that VLAN part is working. That's what we expect. Now, how about one of my other VLANs? So I blocked myself from admin, but I did not block myself from dev, which was 30. So let's do ping 10.100.30.1. And it gives me back responses. Okay, how about 40? We'll do ping 10.100.40.1. And it gives me back responses. But now what about 20? I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to do clear IP-BR-CA show. And here's my address. So I'm on the 10. So I'm going to ping 10.100.20.1. And you see it doesn't let me cross. So we've set up rules that say if you're on the local server's network, you can reach the internet. You cannot reach the LAN. You cannot reach the admin, but you can reach development. You can reach guests, which we just showed. So I just showed you that this is functioning exactly like we expect it should. So we're good here. That's great. Now we're going to go back to the browser here. So what we want to do is finish out these rules to make things make sense for our systems. You need to think through ahead of time. How do I want to set up these VLANs? But the good thing is you can change things on the fly. So remember how I set this up as a thing on my LAN? If I tell myself, you know what, I don't know if I want that on my LAN actually. I'm going to go to this setup here. I'm going to go to assignments. I'm going to go to VLANs, and I'm going to go to this one right here in 10, and I'm going to hit edit. So you remember how I had it on LGB0 for my LAN? I can change this right here on the fly. I can change it to 1. I can click save. So we've got this set, and you can see now it's on IGB1 or LGB1, whatever that is. I think it's IGB1. Yeah, so we've got IGB1 and it's set. So now I would actually have to go and physically plug my machine into a different port on the back of my firewall, or into a different port, or plug in whatever device I want into a different port on that firewall to actually use that. So I've created basically a VLAN off of a different port by doing that. So now I've created this VLAN, but it's off of a different port. So you can do that as well. So you can change things on the fly. It is not something where you have to worry a heck of a lot about how you set things up at first, but it's better to plan things out, know where you want things to run and where you want things to live, and then get ready for how you want to build out that network for your business. But even if you're doing this for your home, instead of local servers, this could be gaming systems. This could be kids systems. This could be guests. This could be IoT. You could have one for cameras. You can build out VLANs all across your home network as well with something like pfSense or OpenSense or OpenWRT. It's a really great way to separate concerns and maintain some control over your network, maintain control over the devices on your network and what they're able to do and when they're able to do it. If you had one for your kids and you know that after 9 p.m. your kids shouldn't be on the internet, you can set that and then set a scheduled task on that VLAN that says cut off internet access after 9 p.m. and your kids can't get on the internet unless they know how to attach to one of those other networks. You can still give yourself internet access, but the kids don't have internet access. They can go to bed like they're supposed to. So just a few things that you can do that are really great, that can make your network more secure, that can make your network more performant, and that can give you much more control over your network. And understanding how this works and how VLANs are set up is so important. So if you're not using pfSense or OpenSense, get out there and read the documentation on how to set up VLANs. Try it, test it, mess with it, learn it, and then get out there and do it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, like, subscribe, tell your friends about it so they can come along the open source journey with us, and I'll talk to you next time.